The Galactic Empire fucked up. They fucked up bad. In a horrific blitz attack, the ruthless forces of the Empire struck the peaceful, human Wagner colony on remote Zephyrus Prime. Plasma bolts lit the night sky as drop ships disgorged hordes of gene-modded shock troopers. Master cannons pounded the meager colonial defenses to rubble. Armored walkers strode through the burning streets, and the real target of the attack became clear. The Empire soldiers were rounding up human children and dragging them screaming onto prison ships. Retired Special Forces Officer Lewis Warren could only watch helplessly as his own son and daughter, 8-year-old Liam and 6-year-old Emma, were torn from his arms at blaster point and hauled away. The look of terror in their innocent eyes seared into Lewis's heart, replaced moments later by white-hot rage. His Wagner security partner Kraxon tried to hold Lewis back as the prison ships lifted off, knowing any resistance now would be suicide. As the Empire warships orbited away with their child captives, Louis already began planning. He knew exactly why those alien bastards wanted human children. Intel reports said the Empire believed human kids had hidden psionic potential they could unlock and exploit as living weapons. And Lewis would be damned if he let that happen to his babies, or anyone's. Shrugging off Kraxon's restraining claws, Lewis stalked toward the colony's quantum comm array with murder in his eyes. It was time to call in every favor Earth owed him. Those Imperial fuckers had no clue the hellstorm they just brought on themselves by touching human young. Before this was over, Louis swore he would show them why the galaxy should never fuck with mankind's children, even if he had to burn the Empire down to its rotten alien core. The quantum comm array hummed to life as Lewis punched in a series of encrypted codes. Within moments, the grizzled face of General Marcus Graves appeared on the screen, his eyes narrowing as he took in Lewis's haggard appearance. "Warren, what the hell happened out there?" Graves demanded. Louis's expression resolute. "The Empire hit us hard, General. They took the kids. My kids. We need to get them back, now." Graves nodded grimly. "I hear you, Lewis. We're already putting together a team." The General's image flickered, replaced by a series of dossiers. Meet Commander Jake Hawkins, tactical genius, Lieutenant Maria Santos, infiltration expert, Dr. Ethan Chen, knows xenobiology inside and out, and Sergeant Lena Ivanova, close-quarter specialist, the best of the best. Lewis scanned the files, a glimmer of hope sparking in his chest. "They'll do," he grunted. "Kraxon and I are in. When do we start?" "Immediately," Graves replied. "Intel suggests the kids are being held in an Imperial research facility on Nox. Your team will infiltrate under diplomatic cover, courtesy of Kraxon's Wagner contacts. Once inside, locate the kids and gather evidence of what those bastards are doing to them." Louis's fist clenched at the thought of his children at the mercy of Imperial scientists. "Understood, General. We'll bring our babies home." As the rescue team assembled on Earth, light years away in the depths of the Nox facility, young Liam gritted his teeth against the searing pain coursing through his skull. Beside him, Emma whimpered, her small body shaking from the latest round of brutal experiments. "It's okay, Ems," Liam whispered, his voice cracking. "Dad will come for us. He promised." Across the room, the looming figure of Dr. Zargon studied a holographic readout, his pale eyes glinting with cruel fascination. "Increase the psionic stimulation to level 7, he ordered. Liam screamed as white-hot agony lanced through his brain, his mind fracturing under the relentless assault. And then, something shifted, a flicker of power, ancient and raw, stirring to life within him. In that moment, Liam caught a fleeting glimpse of their rescuers, his father's face blazing with persistence as he fought his way closer. A surge of hope flooded the boy's heart. They just had to hold on a little longer. Dad was coming, and when he arrived, the Empire would learn the true meaning of hell unleashed. As the rescue team's ship soared through the stars toward Earth, Dr. Amanda Nichols gently approached Liam and Emma, her eyes filled with compassion. The children huddled together, their small forms trembling as they clung to each other for comfort. "Hi there," Dr. Nichols said softly, kneeling down to their level. "I'm here to help you feel better. Can you tell me what happened?" Liam met her gaze, his young face etched with pain and fear. They hurt us, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. They kept saying we were special, that we had powers they needed. Dr. Nichols nodded, her heart aching for the trauma these innocent children had endured. I know it was scary, but you're safe now. Your dad and all of us are going to make sure no one ever hurts you again. As she spoke, the ship shuddered, the telltale sign of exiting hyperspace. They had arrived at Earth, but the homecoming was far from joyous. Urgent messages flooded the comm channels, warning of the Empire's impending attack. Lewis Warren's face hardened as he listened to the reports, his fists clenching at his sides. He turned to General Marcus Reynolds, who stood at the command center, his brow furrowed in concentration. "What's our plan, General?" Louis asked, his voice tight with tension. Reynolds met his gaze, a flicker of hope in his eyes. "We have a secret weapon," he said, gesturing to the children. "Their psionic abilities could turn the tide of this war." Lewis's eyes widened, a mix of pride and fear swelling in his chest. His children, thrust into the heart of a galactic conflict, but he knew they had the strength within them to face this challenge. As the Empire's armada loomed on the horizon, Dr. Eliza Hoffman rushed into the command center, her face flushed with excitement. "It's ready," she announced breathlessly. "The psionic amplifier. It could enhance the children's powers tenfold." Reynolds nodded grimly. "Then let's hope it's enough," he said, his eyes fixed on the approaching enemy fleet. In the heart of the Imperial flagship, Emperor Cardassian sneered at the pathetic defenses arrayed before him. "Crush them," he ordered, his voice dripping with disdain. "Let them feel the full might of the Empire." As the first volleys of plasma fire erupted between the two fleets, Louis and Craxon led Liam, Emma, and the other children to the psionic amplifier. The device hummed with impossibly strong energy, its surface pulsing with an otherworldly glow. "Remember your training," Louis said, his voice firm but gentle. "Focus your minds, work together, and let your powers flow through you." The children nodded, their faces set with purpose. They joined hands, forming a circle around the amplifier, and closed their eyes. As they reached out with their minds, the device began to thrum with power, a brilliant aura of energy enveloping them. On the battlefield, the tide began to turn. The Empire's ships faltered, their systems overwhelmed by the surging psionic energy. Earth's fleet pressed forward, their weapons finding their marks with devastating accuracy. Craxon and his team fought their way through the Imperial flagship, the Wagnir's claws rending metal and flesh alike. They burst onto the bridge, where Emperor Cardassian's whirled to face them, his eyes blazing with fury. "You dare defy the Empire?" he snarled, his hand reaching for his weapon. But before he could act, a blinding flash of psionic energy engulfed the room. Liam and Emma stood at the epicenter, their minds united in a single, unwavering purpose. The Emperor screamed as the power tore through him, his body dissolving into nothingness. As the flagship disintegrated around them, Craxon grabbed the children, shielding them from the debris. They raced back to their waiting ship, dodging the wreckage of the crumbling Imperial fleet. But even as they made their escape, the Emperor's final weapon hurtled toward Earth, a monstrous device of unimaginable destructive power. The psionic amplifier pulsed with urgent warning, the children's senses attuned to the impending doom. In that moment, Liam and Emma knew what they had to do. They reached out to the other children, their minds linking in a web of pure, unbridled power. As one, they turned their focus to the approaching weapon, pouring every ounce of their strength into a desperate bid to stop it. The weapon shuddered, its casing cracking under the onslaught of psionic energy. Slowly, inexorably, it began to veer off course, its trajectory bending away from Earth. The children gritted their teeth, sweat beading on their brows as they pushed themselves to the brink of exhaustion. With a final wrenching effort, the weapon detonated in the emptiness of space, a blinding flare of light that momentarily outshone the sun. The shockwave buffeted the remaining ships, but they held fast, the crisis averted in the nick of time. As the glow faded, a cheer went up from Earth's defenders, their voices raised in triumph and relief. Louis swept Liam and Emma into his arms, tears streaming down his face as he held them close. "You did it," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. You saved us all. But even as they savored their hard-won victory, a flicker of unease stirred in Liam's mind. He could sense something out there in the depths of space, a presence watching from the shadows, a new threat, waiting to emerge from the ashes of the Empire's defeat. Earth had won the day, but Liam knew the true battle for the galaxy's future was only just beginning, and he and his fellow psionic children would be at the forefront, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The moment of triumph was short-lived. As Liam and Emma reveled in their victory, a deafening hum filled the air. The children's eyes widened in shock as their psionic connection abruptly severed, leaving them feeling hollow and powerless. "What's happening?" Emma cried, her small hands trembling as she reached for her brother. Before Liam could respond, the view screen flickered to life, revealing Emperor Cardassian's sneering face. "Foolish humans," he spat. "Did you really think we'd come unprepared?" The Emperor's flagship loomed in the distance, a massive device protruding from its hull. Pulsing waves of energy radiated outward, washing over Earth's forces. "The Psi Nullifier," Dr. Hoffman gasped, her face pale with realization. "It's negating all psionic abilities in range." As if on cue, Imperial warships surged forward, their weapons blazing. Earth's fleet, suddenly stripped of its psionic advantage, found itself outgunned and overwhelmed. On the bridge of the flagship, Lewis Warren watched in horror as friendly ships exploded around them. He turned to General Reynolds, who was barking orders into his comm unit. "We need to take out that nullifier," Louis growled. "It's our only chance." Reynolds nodded grimly. "Agreed. All ships converge on the Emperor's flagship. Target the Psi Nullifier at all costs." Earth's remaining vessels hurled themselves at the Imperial flagship, braving a storm of plasma fire. Explosions lit up the void as ships on both sides were torn apart. In the midst of the chaos, Craxon's infiltration team found themselves pinned down in the bowels of the Emperor's ship. Plasma bolts sizzled past as they took cover behind twisted metal bulkheads. "We're cut off!" Lieutenant Santos shouted over the din of battle. "No way back to the extraction point!" Craxon's mandibles clicked in perseverance. "Then we push forward. We end this here and now." Back on Earth, Liam and Emma huddled with the other children, watching helplessly as the battle raged above. Through the remnants of their psionic bond, they sensed the fear and desperation of Earth's forces. "We have to do something," Liam said, his young face set with perseverance. Emma nodded, squeezing her brother's hand. "But how? Our powers are gone." Before Liam could respond, alarms blared throughout the command center. On the main display, they watched in horror as Imperial ships breached Earth's defensive line, raining destruction on the cities below. General Reynolds' voice crackled over the comm system. "This is it, people. Our last stand. All remaining ships, prepare for ramming speed. We're taking out that nullifier or dying in the attempt." As Earth's battered fleet made its final, desperate charge, Louis led a strike team onto the surface of the Imperial flagship. Plasma bolts and explosions erupted around them as they fought their way through waves of gene-modded shock troopers. "There!" Dr. Hoffman shouted, pointing to a heavily guarded access hatch. "That's our way in." The team surged forward, Lewis and Sergeant Ivanova laying down covering fire as Dr. Hoffman worked to bypass the security systems. With a hiss of hydraulics, the hatch slid open, revealing the ship's cavernous interior. As they pushed deeper into the flagship, Liam and Emma suddenly gasped, their psionic senses flaring to life for a brief moment. Through the haze of the nullifier's effects, they caught a glimpse of their father, bloodied but alive, fighting his way toward the heart of the enemy vessel. "Dad's alive!" Emma exclaimed, hope rekindling in her eyes. Liam nodded, his mind focused. "And he's going to need our help. We have to find a way to restore our powers and end this once and for all." As the children began to formulate a plan, the battle above reached its crescendo. Earth's forces threw everything they had at the Psi Nullifier, knowing that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Balance. As the Psi Nullifier erupted in a spectacular explosion, the Imperial flagship shuddered and began to break apart. Liam and Emma felt their powers surge back, stronger than ever before. "We have to help Dad," Liam exclaimed, his eyes burning with willpower. Emma nodded, grasping her brother's hand. Together they reached out with their minds, searching for their father amidst the chaos. They found him, battered but alive, fighting alongside Craxon and the strike team, deep within the dying vessel. With a thought, the children projected a psionic shield around their father and his allies, guiding them through the collapsing corridors to safety. As Louis and his team emerged from the wreckage, the remaining Imperial forces scattered, their will to fight shattered along with their flagship. The victory was swift and absolute. Earth's defenders cheered as the last enemy ships fled or surrendered, the threat of annihilation finally lifted from their shoulders. But as the adrenaline faded, the true cost of the conflict became painfully clear. Liam and Emma stood at the viewport, their young faces etched with a mix of relief and horror as they surveyed the devastation below. Once gleaming cities lay in ruins, the scars of orbital bombardment visible even from space. The wreckage of countless ships, both friend and foe, drifted silently in the void. Louis approached his children, his uniform torn and bloodied. He placed a hand on each of their shoulders, his touch gentle despite the calluses earned in battle. "You did well," he said softly, "but I'm sorry you had to endure this. No child should have to bear such a burden." Liam turned to his father, his eyes searching for answers. "Dad, what's happening to us? These powers, they're changing, growing. I can feel so much more now." Louis sighed, the weight of secrets and regrets heavy in his voice. "Your abilities are evolving, son. They're not just weapons, but a gift with incredible potential and grave responsibility." Before Louis could elaborate, Dr. Nichols approached, her face etched with concern. "The children need rest," she said firmly. "They've been through a traumatic experience, and we need to monitor their psychological state carefully." As the adrenaline of battle faded, the full impact of what they had experienced began to settle over Liam and Emma. The horrors they had witnessed, the lives lost, the raw power they had wielded, it all came crashing down at once. Emma's legs buckled, and Liam caught her before she could fall. Tears streamed down her face as she buried her head in her brother's shoulder. "I can feel them," she whispered. "All the people we couldn't save. Their pain. It's too much." Dr. Nichols knelt beside the children, her voice soothing. "What you're experiencing is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. Your empathic abilities have expanded, and you're processing not just your own trauma, but the collective trauma of everyone affected by this war." Liam's brow furrowed as he held his sister. "How do we make it stop? How do we control this?" Dr. Nichols smiled gently. "We start by understanding that your powers are not just for destruction. They can be used for healing, for growth. The same connection that allows you to feel others' pain can also be used to bring comfort and aid in recovery." As if to illustrate her point, a distress call came through the ship's communication system. A group of civilians was trapped in the rubble of a collapsed building, their life support systems failing. Liam and Emma exchanged a glance, a silent understanding passing between them. With a nod from their father, they closed their eyes and reached out with their minds. They could sense the trapped survivors, their fear and desperation palpable. Working in tandem, the children used their psionic abilities to carefully shift the debris, creating a safe passage for rescue teams. As they worked, they projected calm and reassurance to the survivors, easing their panic and giving them the strength to hold on until help arrived. When the last survivor was pulled to safety, a cheer went up from the rescue workers. Liam and Emma opened their eyes, exhausted but filled with a sense of purpose they had never known before. "You see," Dr. Nichols said, her eyes shining with pride, "your powers can bring hope in the darkest of times. But it's crucial that we work together to help you understand and control these abilities as they grow." As the children nodded in agreement, Lewis's comm unit buzzed. General Reynolds' voice came through, tight with urgency. "Warren, we need you and the children in the command center immediately. We're picking up strange readings from the edge of the solar system. Something's coming." Liam and Emma shared a look of apprehension. They had won the battle, but as they followed their father to the command center, they knew that their journey and the challenges they would face We're just getting started.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel. And for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.